What is up, guys? I'm Silas Williams, aka TheSwolefessor, here to educate you on health, fitness, social well-being. And today, guys, you're going to be watching episode 6 of Time to Build. You're going to be seeing yesterday's squat and leg focused workout. My boy Jacob Stein joined me. You all have seen him on the channel before. And I'm also going to be talking to you guys about the importance of rest time. I've touched on this topic briefly here and there, but I'm going to be going into more details as far as what all the research says about just how much rest time you need, kind of what the variations are depending on, what rep range you may be working at, or more importantly, what your total workload is, whether you're doing sets of 3, sets of 10, sets of 12, it really comes down to like your total workload, the weight on the bar, because it's important to understand, guys, how to maximize your recovery time so that you can, perform efficiently, because that ultimately is going to help you lead to building more muscle and building more strength. If you have too much rest time, then you're not training your body to properly adapt to certain circumstances. But if you don't have enough rest time, then you're not going to be able to perform as efficiently as you could be otherwise. It's stupid to cut your rest time too short, and in doing so, you lose a whole rep or two that could have gone into helping you grow more because you're doing more total workloads. So that's what you guys are going to be seeing today. But before we get into that, speaking of rest time, I just want to make the announcement, guys, that I have partnered up with a company called Movement, and Movement is a company that actually sells watches and shades. They sell very high quality watches that, in store would usually start around $400 to $500, but their starting prices are more around like $95 to $100. So you're getting good quality, but for a cheaper, more efficient price. And the company itself was started by 2 college students who basically, wanted the nicer things in life, but really couldn't afford it, which I definitely can relate to in the sense of, when I was in college, I was working 4 jobs and all my money pretty much went to tuition, bills, and food. And while I'm definitely not what I consider to be a materialistic person by any means, I do have certain things that I do like and enjoy. But I personally, no judgment to anyone who is, but I'm not big on, getting in debt or breaking my wallet for something just to say I had it, even if it's not something I necessarily need. So definitely happy to be working with a company that kind of gets that, because you guys know that I'm all about, first and foremost, helping you guys. That's why, I sell my programs for $20. That's why I try to make my online training as affordable as possible, because yes, we all have to make a living, but there's no need to scream anybody out of their money in order to do so. And I just really like the products, guys. Like, I've been reached out to by several different companies, mainly supplement companies, and I've had to turn them all down. Some of you guys would probably think I'm stupid for some of the supplement companies that I have turned down just because they're pretty big and well known. But the thing is, I personally don't use supplements. I know that the majority of supplements are garbage, and that the few that actually are useful or beneficial, even then, aren't necessary. So I just can't feel honest with myself or you all saying, hey, go try this product. It's something that I personally don't even want to like or use. Whereas with these, it's stuff that I actually like. 'Cause, come on now, guys, come on, y'all already know. Tell me your boy, that's clean, right? Tell me your boy ain't looking clean. I know you guys used to see me in gym clothes, but tell me that ain't clean. Tell me that your boy ain't gonna be looking fresh out there. Ain't no point in building all this muscle if I can't look good in regular clothes, right? No, and then just so you guys have an idea of like what the watch looks like. There you go. But yeah, guys, like, I'm not joking when I say really nice quality watches, really nice quality shades. So for me personally, it's just nice to actually be working with a company that has products that I can actually tell you guys, hey, I like this, I'm wearing it. If you guys want to check it out, feel free to do so. You guys can go to movement.com. If you do, be sure to use my code TheSwolefessor15 to save you $15 off your purchase. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Just wanted to make that very quick announcement. You guys know I'm always honest, I'm transparent, I don't do the subtle marketing. I just let you guys know what's up from the start. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the video. Alright, guys, so you're going to see that I was doing my squats for 4 sets of 6 as designated by my program, whereas Jacob was doing high bar squats for 3 sets of 10 as designated by his. But from that point on, we did the rest of my lower body workout. And if you guys want to see what that is, you can check the description box down below as always. But let's get into the topic at hand, which is rest time. So the biggest thing, guys, is always people asking, so how much rest do you need between sets in order to maximize muscle growth? And that's kind of the key thing, guys. We're talking about maximizing muscle growth. That's going to be a little bit different than, the rest time for muscular endurance. And it may even be slightly different than the rest time for training for maximum strength. So we have to keep that in mind too, guys. Like, how long you rest is always going to very much depend upon your goals. Now, let's go over kind of what the general guidelines that most of you have probably heard of thus far. You probably want to rest anywhere from 45 seconds to a minute if you're really trying to work muscular endurance. You've probably heard anywhere from a minute to 2 minutes if you're trying to work hypertrophy, then anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes if you're trying to focus on strength. And there is some truth to all of these, but there's a few things that we really need to pay attention to as well. So let's start with the muscular endurance one. That one actually makes a lot of sense if we think about it. Resting anywhere from like 45 seconds to a minute. Why? Because we're trying to work on endurance. We're trying to see how long our muscles can hold out with, minimum recovery time, if you're trying to look at endurance from that standpoint. So that's why, whenever I do my muscular endurance days with calisthenics, I'll only rest anywhere from about 45 seconds to a minute between sets. Or if I'm working out with somebody else, we just go back to back to back. As soon as he's done with the set, I do mine. As soon as I'm done with the set, he or she will do his or her set. So if we look at it from that standpoint, that makes sense. Now, if we talk about strength, of course, resting 3 to 5 minutes makes sense. Why? Because if you're training for strength, guys, you're training for performance. You have a certain amount of reps you're trying to hit on each set with a certain amount of weight. And your goal isn't trying to necessarily fatigue your muscles so much as it is just making sure that you're efficient, that you hit those numbers that are designated for you. So you want to rest 3 to 5 minutes because you want to make sure that you have adequate recovery in order to hit those numbers. Obviously, if you're cutting your rest time too short, as I mentioned earlier, then you're not going to be able to effectively hit the numbers that you want for the mere fact that you're tired, that you're going to give out, either due to the fact that your muscles themselves haven't recovered, or the fact that your nervous system as a whole just may be still kind of shocked from the previous set. So you got to keep that in mind. Now, when we're talking about hypertrophy, which, let's be honest, is what most of you really want to know about, what's the rest time for maximum hypertrophy, there's kind of an issue with thinking, okay, just keep it to a minute to 2 minutes no matter what, because people kind of correlate it with rep ranges, right? They're thinking, okay, if you're doing like 1 to 5 or 6 reps, then that's going to be strength. If you're working, like the 8 to 12, that's hypertrophy. If you're doing 15 plus, that's endurance. But as you guys have learned on this channel, and I'll leave the link in the description down below when we talk about the connection between strength and hypertrophy, as well as leaving a link to the video over rep ranges and how they all work for hypertrophy. The reality is, guys, it doesn't matter if you're doing sets of 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, all rep ranges work equally for hypertrophy. What we have found is that the different rep ranges do have different performance benefits. For example, higher rep ranges are going to help you more with endurance. Lower rep ranges are definitely going to help you a little bit more with strength and working on, like, your first rep of each set, helping out with your max strength. But they all pretty much work the same universally for hypertrophy so long as workload is the same, meaning 3 sets of 10 with 100 pounds is the same thing as 10 sets of 3 with 100 pounds, because you get the same total workload. And that is what our muscles know. Our muscles don't know rep ranges, they know workload, and they know the workload being progressed, which is why the key to muscle growth is, of course, starting off with a certain workload and then progressively overloading to increase that load. That's why you get stronger from either doing the same weight for more reps or doing the same amount of reps but with more weight. That's the whole point of progressive overload. That is why it is the key to everything, because you're increasing that total workload on your muscles. So keeping that in mind, if workload is what really matters, then yes, we can use the argument of, hey, if I rest a minute to 2 minutes, I'm going to probably induce more metabolic fatigue. And that is true. And metabolic fatigue is a way of helping our muscles grow for sure. But the research shows that the best way to stimulate muscle growth is, like we just mentioned, what? Increasing that total workload. Well, what sounds better? If I have 3 sets of 10, I rest, a minute to 2 minutes between each set. And because I only rest a minute to 2 minutes, I maybe get, 10, 8, then 5. Or taking a good 3 minutes rest between each set and actually getting all 10 reps on all sets, which is going to produce more total workload. Now, this isn't to say that metabolic fatigue does not have its place in training, and that's why I think when you're working on things like, isolation movements, or you are working with something where you can hit that for, at least like 12 to 15 reps with the smaller isolation work, it's okay if you work on metabolic fatigue if you're only resting a minute to 2 minutes, because over time you're going to gradually build the reps up to where you can get all 3 sets of 12, all 3 sets of 15, even if it is with a higher rep range. It'll just take time to build it up. But with your big compound movements, guys, once again, you're trying to get the most bang for your buck from those movements. Why? Because you're able to move the most weight to put the greatest load on your muscles when you use your compound movements. And because they are such big movements that do take a lot out of you, it makes more sense to get the benefit of the total workload from those movements. So my argument, therefore, and it's pretty much not even so much an argument, it's not my opinion, just based off the research, what we found, guys, is that you actually still want to rest probably around a minimum of 3 minutes between sets, even for hypertrophy training when you're working on your big compound movements. Now, obviously, there's going to be some variation. If you're just, let's say you're starting off with submaximal training, you're only working with around 60 to 70% of your max for sets of 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever it may be, and you're able to knock it out easy. Let's say you do your first set and within like 2 minutes you feel good, you feel fresh to go, then go for it. But the point is, don't feel bad if you want about 3 minutes, or if you take about 3 minutes between sets in order to make sure you're fully fresh and recharged. You're not gonna lose gains because of it. Don't think that, oh man, I rest 3 minutes, I'm resting too long, I'm not inducing enough metabolic fatigue, I'm not gonna grow. No, if anything, you're gonna grow more because you took that 3 minutes. You're gonna perform better on all of your working sets, probably hit all of your reps for all of your sets, which will create more total workload, which will lead to more total growth for your muscles. So that's kind of the only issue, guys, when we kind of limit our rest time just based off rep ranges, or even just based off goals. You kind of have to think about like what you're trying to do, and also just look at yourself specifically as an individual. Like, you know, 2 people may be doing 3 sets of 10 with 315 pounds on squats, right? The person who's more experienced, maybe a little bit stronger, weighs a little bit more, may be able to get all 3 sets of 10 with only 2 minutes rest. The individual who's maybe not as experienced or weighs a little bit less may need 3 minutes, maybe even 4 to 5, and that's okay, because you're still going to get the same total workload. Don't get so caught up, guys, on just these individual aspects of fitness, like, oh, metabolic fatigue, and make it the end all be all, because at the end of the day, what is most important is the total workload, is progressively overloading with that total workload. Once again, not to say that metabolic fatigue doesn't have its place. It's kind of the same sense when I talk to you guys about like training to failure. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and leave that in the description box down below too, where I explain that yes, you can train to failure. There's nothing wrong with that, depending on what your goals are and what your rep ranges you're working with. But if you are going to train to failure, then you need to be working with loads where you're getting more than 6 reps. So that way you can really induce metabolic fatigue and not have to worry about like form breakdown with heavier loads. And just also because keeping in mind that it's not necessary. It has its place, and it's a great tool that you can use to induce metabolic fatigue, but training to failure is not necessary. You can go your entire life without training for failure and still maximize muscle growth, so long as you are progressively overloading, gradually increasing your total workload from week to week. So yeah, that's pretty much it about rest time, guys. As always, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. I know that I haven't really done a whole lot of time to build videos for this past week, but don't worry, you're going to get at least 2 for this upcoming week. I've just been really busy with in-person clients as well as online clients. Like, I've gone up in both, so my days are really long, and I'm kind of getting my workouts in really late. So by the time I get to the gym, I'm not really, you know, trying to whip the camera out, get all the angles set up and record, especially when I'm by myself. But grateful to my friend Jacob for joining me for this. It's always easier to get these videos done when you are working out with somebody, just because they can hold the camera for you instead of having to set it up. So definitely appreciate him. But yeah, that's it for the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and leave a comment down below, let me know what you did. If you're not, leave a comment down below letting me know what I can do to get better. Like the video, share, subscribe, keep it simple, specific, scientific, and I'll catch y'all later.